Hello, this is Jerry Temple. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about a Cessna 421C Golden Eagle that I sold to the present owner in June of 2018. He's moving up to a Conquest turboprop. The aircraft's based in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and the gentleman that owns it's a physician that flies all over the western states doing specialized surgery and some other medical issues. I've actually sold this airplane 3 times. For a gentleman I sold it for a gentleman in Ohio. It went to a family in Washington State, then sold it for them. And it went to a gentleman here in the Dallas area and sold it for him. And hopefully to you will be sale number 4. So we must have done a good job or no one would call you back. No one has to call you back if you've sold them an airplane. The current owner's done a couple of things to this airplane. Put in a 406 ELT locator beacon, and the left engine has been replaced by RAM. So it is a bit dated, but the equipment is all the same. The paint and interior is the same. The annual is due the end of June, I believe, the end of June of this year. So we would take a pre-purchase inspection and roll it into an annual. That's a common procedure. I can discuss that with you more. So again, when you look at this video, also look at the photos that were taken at the same time in 2018. Hopefully we'll get some fresh ones. We'll update the logbooks. The logbooks have been scanned and can be sent to you. We don't post the logs, but we can send you a link, and we just need to update it from when we finished photocopying and scanning all the logs back in 2018. I'm going to say to you now something very important. Check my spec sheet. You're on my website, jerrytemple.net or jthwins.com. Some avionics changes have been done. Not all are visible to the naked eye, some interfacing. So be sure to check my spec sheet. It's the dominant document for current equipment and hours. Also look at the page called the technical data sheet, key weights, times, dimensions, and other information. Obviously the still shots, photos that were taken about a week ago in mid-March, and this video today, so you're obviously on my website. At the end of this presentation, we'll summarize how we do business. Also, under buyer services on my website, be certain to read the outline titled Domestic Sales Procedures or International Sales Procedures. It's the steps we try to follow to sell 25, 30 twin Cessnas a year. Okay, we'll get started. I'm going to be a little bit general here, and then I will move up to the pilot seat in just a little bit and get more specific. Conveniently located on the pilot's left are all your switches, those 4 red ones in the top there in the mags, followed by those 2 red buttons and a starter toggle switch between them for priming. MEB 88-3, the aux pump mod's been done, those big fat switches you see there. That's the volt amp meter to show condition of alternators and batteries. Gang bar number 2, that's gang bar number 1, just a means of turning stuff off in a hurry. Alternator, 2 alternators and battery, and lighting and de-icing equipment. Circuit breakers again at the pilot's elbow. Going down to the floor, that gold knob there that's kind of hiding right about there is a parking brake, and that silver knob is alternate static air. Glass is in great shape. I'll look at it both inside and out. No crazing, scratching, distortions. We have Rosen sun visors on the monorail system, which is really nice. Leather eyebrow. Camera sometimes gets behind my voice and catching up. The lighting, it's an automatic dimming and lighting of the lighting system. Yokes look real good. They don't need powder coating or any further leather covering. If you like leather covering, I have some great shops that do leather covering with great baseball style stitching. I'm going to go down to the quadrant for a minute, then come back up. The quadrant's the blind pilot concept, different shapes, color sizes, the throttles, props, and mixtures. Those are the rheostats for panel lighting. All of the post lights have been removed in its internal lighting. That's the KFC 200 autopilot, probably my favorite all time for airplanes like this. 3 axes of trim. The big one you see is the elevator trim, and we also have an electric trim button on the pilot's yoke. I like to have your hands on the throttles and your thumb on the electric trim right there on the pilot's yoke while we're close to the ground, so you don't need to remove your hands from the throttles to the trim frequently. Once we get in the sky, then you can use the manual trim a little bit better. It's more sensitive. In quantity, we next use the rudder trim, yaw left and right, nose left, right, and then the one we use the least is the very sensitive aileron trim tab. Fuel selectors in a twin Cessna on the floor. 421C is the wet wing system. Each wing supports an engine. Can't be any simpler, kind of like a Cessna 172 with a cross-feed capability and a shut-off capability. On the co-pilot or right seat passengers right are some circuit breakers that I don't often deal with, mostly avionics. Going backwards on purpose. Full set of co-pilot instruments, airspeed, attitude, barometric altimeter, vertical speed, DG, hour meter. Fuel quantity in both pounds and gallons. We have the 3-in-1 gauges, engine condition, oil temperature, oil temp, and cylinder head. When they're all in the green, it looks like the upside down letter of the alphabet Y, Yankee, or the Mercedes hood symbol. I like to teach, line up on the runway, bring our power up maybe to mag speed, 1700 RPMs. Say out loud, Mercedes looks good, or all in the green. I know you're not talking about the landing gear when we're getting ready to roll. And then add your power. Graphic engine monitor, shade and digital fuel flow. These allow for precision temperature management, going up and coming down, and fuel flows. RPMs, manifold, propeller synchro phaser. Now notice on the tachometer, you've got two green arcs. These huge 90-inch wide chord blades turn extremely slow. Your ears and my ears are used to 23, 24, 2500 RPM, and most airplanes will cruise at 1819, 1850 RPMs. So right after takeoff, we'll be in the green, red line in the green, and then we'll quickly come back through the yellow arc to our 18 or 1900 RPMs. Manifold, prop sync, leaving avionics to last. Coming up the top of the dash, we have a digital clock, electric OAT, airspeed, flight director, KFC 200 3-inch flight director, HSI for number 1, electric altimeter, vertical speed, backup attitude indicator, I think it's a Castleberry, CDI with glide slope for number 2, radar altimeter, some pressurization controls, and again there's suction and 11 cubic foot oxygen bottle up in the nose, emergency only, or get tired, take a suck or two at night of oxygen, clear up your vision. Landing gear, high speed trailing link landing gear on this 81 421C, air conditioning controls, some electrical power. Those are alternate air. Well, should we get some induction icing, we have alternate air means. I'm going to kind of dump down a little bit here. Kind of hard to see. There's going to be kind of hard to see. Those are the dump valves under each engine, part of the pressurization system. Oxygen pull, 11 cubic foot emergency bottle up in the nose. Okay, avionics. We have a Garmin 347 audio, 530W, 430W, EX500 multifunction display. Gentlemen, ladies, check my spec sheet for all the interfacing. I can't remember it all. Fresh in this airplane is a GTX 345 ADS-B in and out transponder. Don't have to do it. About 17,000 that was put in this airplane recently by Flat Electronics, a good shop at Addison Airport. Number 2's 330ES, radar, color radar on its own display. Lots of things display on the Avionics and the Garmins. Again, check my spec sheet. I could take the sheet in front of me and start reading right now, but I'd probably be moving the camera around like that if I did that. So check my spec sheet. I like to still have DME in an airplane. It's not costing anything. It's there, and it's a cross-reference for GPS mileage. Beautiful panel. I rate panels separate from cabins by that glass placarding, which I'm a nut about. Screws, just general alignment condition. This is rated strong. There's obviously things you can do to this airplane. We all know that. There's avionics changes every month and year, frequent changes. So again, check my spec sheet, check the technical data sheet. We've made a photocopy of all the aircraft's logbooks, both the digital version and, of course, our Jerry Temple clone, we call it. Mechanics love my 3-inch, 4-inch binder clone when they're doing an inspection. There's nothing like having a 3-ring binder that you can post notes on and paper clips. This airplane was exported to Japan for a few years. We have all those logs. Easy to usually make out numbers or times. I can't read Japanese, but the logs are present. Good hours on the airplane, a little bit higher time left engine. The previous owner had RAM install the right engine about 500 hours ago, 500 and something. Excellent maintenance. Cutter and Aviation in Phoenix did some I think one annual and the pre-buy on this airplane. And as I said, Flight Star here in Dallas. And I believe I'll have to check. I think the Cincinnati owner was using TAS Aviation in Defiance, Ohio, another good shop. Okay, looks pretty good. Of course, there's always things we can add. This airplane already has strakes, and doesn't have strakes, has speed brakes. Strakes could be added. We can talk about those. 421C, extremely quiet when you pull those propellers back to 1900 RPM after takeoff. Sometimes people think, we lost an engine. Shade and digital fuel flow, HPI EDM 760 graphic engine monitor. We have satellite weather. Of course, you can use portable devices also, ADS-B weather. There's two forms of traffic, an active traffic system and ADS-B in this airplane. They blend. They blend, and it can be explained to you by someone that's more knowledgeable than me. Spoiler speed brakes is that little smash yellow button you see right there. No speed restriction as flaps and gear would have, even though this airplane has a high gear and flap speed, still there's a limit. No limit on the spoiler deployment. Speed brake, synonymous term. Flaps on the airplane, you see those little ledges under the flap switch, those are called pre-selects. You kind of push down, you'll feel the cliff, 1 or 2 flights, and it becomes instinctive. Kind of push down and to the left a little bit, and you get your approach flaps. Then 2/3 full flaps, you needed to go around, and you're at full flaps. Pull them up, push to the left, and you'll find it. It's no big deal. Trust me, I've been doing this for a long time. Those are part of our heating and pressurization controls, some push-pull knobs, outlets for defroster, cabin heat, forward ankle heat down by the pilot and right passenger legs, control of the what's called the air exchangers, which is that little stub hole in the stub of the wing. There's a little door I'll show you, and I narrate the still shots. I probably can't do video for the exteriors today. The wind's blowing too hard. And the little microphone on my collar just is overwhelmed by the wind, and I need 2 hands for the camera. Can't cup the mic. Okay, I'm going to move into the front seat now, turn on the avionics, and just show you a couple more things. I'm back with you now. I just dropped the video camera, so I guess it's working. I seem to zoom in, and there we go. Up in the pilot seat now. This airplane has one nacelle tank that sits behind the left engine. That's the little transfer pump right there, left transfer. OAT, clock, airspeed, turn coordinator, turn and slip rather, air attitude, single Q, my favorite single Q, most people like that, kind of hard to see, got some sun glare but I can't move the airplane. Altimeter, electric, so we have a barometric backup on the right side, backup attitude, CDI, radar altimeter, that's absolute altitude, feet above the ground, not MSL. So if you went over a hill at 25 feet above it, it'd say 25 feet. Hill might be 2,000 feet high, but 2,500 feet. Great for tight approaches. You'll see when you're coming up on decision altitude, 300 feet, 250, 225, etc., etc. There's your electric trim. Coming down again, here we have our alternate air conditioning controls gear. I hear the fans, you hear the fans, air pressurization controls right here, mags. If you're not familiar with pressurization, it's simple to use, 1 or 2 up and downs. Just as the airplane has vertical speed, the cabin goes up and down at 500 feet a minute. If this little knob right here is set at 12 o'clock, which I've just done. This is called the controller. It has an inner and outer scale. On the inner scale, I'm setting 20,000 feet. This is a 5.0 system, the differential between the inside and the outside. So we're going to set it before takeoff. That's a technique. There's a lot of things in aviation that are not FAR or POH technique. I'm going to set it for 20,000 feet, and I should have about a 6,000 foot cabin when I level off, assuming a 5.0 type cabin. We'll start up, get 500 feet a minute. We'll probably get to the 6,000 foot cabin before I get up to 20,000 feet. When I get up to 20,000 feet, we level off, and there's two little white needles there. One overlays the other. The outer one, the big one, is cabin altitude, and it should read 6,000. The small one is differential. It should be at the red line of 5.0. If we had a leak or leaks, plural, the cabin might go higher rather than 6. It might be 7 or 8 or 9, and the PSI would be less rather than 5.0, maybe 3.5 or 4. We'll find the leaks and fix them. You won't really step climb in this airplane like a heavy jet. You may get a couple of ATC levels off, but you don't need to play with this. Just set it for takeoff out the altitude you're going to cruise at. When we get up there, we set up, get comfortable, set up our cruise. It's a variable system. When we're ready to come down with that knob right here with the arrow, I can control if I want to come down slower than 500 feet a minute, I can. Somebody had a cold aft star a little further out. That's Private Pilot 101. And we probably step down. You probably won't get a descent from 20,000 feet to 1,000 foot pattern altitude. So we'll just step it on the way down. A couple up and down flights and you'll have it down. Trust me, it's not a big deal. As I said before, there's our co-pilot instruments or right seat instruments. There's some avionics. There's my spec sheet. There's sheepskin covers on the pilot and co-pilot right seat passengers. Quadrant looks good. It's clean. It's not chipped up, broken. With the wet wing system, we have a hydraulic landing gear that goes up and down real fast in trailing link style. We have a 2,000-pound nitrogen bottle in the nose to blow the gear down if it wouldn't come down rather than a crank under the pilot's seat. Avionics, one more time. Audio, 530, 430, EX 500, color radar, everything's lit up. Two transponders, there's the 345, there's the 330, DME, and that's our altitude pre-select right there. Prop sync. Okay, you're sitting here with me, you're in the right seat, you're in the left seat, I'm in the right seat, we're coming home from a checkout, we're delivering this airplane to you. Let's say we're flying it from right here in Dallas to, oh, I think I'd like to go to Los Angeles area. We're going to land at Long Beach. We'll probably go up going west, let's say go to 22 or 24, depending on winds. Maybe we'll go to Florida, 21,000. We got 234 gallons of gas. Lovely airplane. Radar, strike finder information, electronics, a couple of forms of traffic, a couple of forms of weather. What's not to like? And of course you have some plans for, we're not going to be naive of putting in a Garmin 600 or Avionics or some other things. But some people on the airplanes I sell taking out the engine instruments and putting in a modern instrument cluster. Garmin's come out with a new one, JPI has one, so does Insight. Okay, don't want to run the battery down. I'm going to turn this off. As you can see, I'm going to put the flaps to approach. Going down to approach, I hit the little cliff, shove them back up. Activate my spoiler speed brakes. They're now out, got lights on, they're both on. Stow them. There's your annunciator panel, different colors and lights, conditions. Some are just advisory, some are warnings. Let me test the button. Landing gears, warning system. Special airplane. Be sure to check spec sheet, be sure to read technical data sheet, read the narrative I'm going to write about this airplane. Call me, logs are copied. Special trailing link 421C Golden Eagle. Sold it twice, like for you to be number 3. Gonna go in the cabin. I'm now seated in aft-facing left side seat's number 3. Pilots 1, co-pilots 2. I'm in number 3. The aft-facing right side by the emergency door is number 4. That's number 5. That's number 6, also called the bouse's or spouse's seat. The potty is the legal seat number 7. Okay, so we have 7 seats in this airplane, 7 seat belts. Pilot and co-pilot also have shoulder harness. Let me describe the interior first. We have kind of a burgundy, may look brownish in the video, but it's a burgundy type carpet. Kind of a medium tan to slightly darker tan, beige leather interior. The 421 style seats have the collapsible inboard armrest. I'll raise them in a little bit, but it makes the seat wider for some larger persons and or easier to go up and down the aisle. 6-place intercom system. We can add some electricity right there also, and a flat screen TV that swings out for people looking forward and for people looking aft that is, and for the forward facing, I'll show you that. I'll move to that seat in just a minute, and by my current elbow we could add one. Woodwork's in great condition, table on each side of the airplane. I think we've got 3 or 4 under-seat storage drawers in this airplane where you can keep oxygen masks, headsets, snacks, so forth. Airplane has the CESSNA aft potty refreshment center. Again, there's the potty right there with a relief tube and a refreshment center. Some people take those things out. They don't want them. They don't use them for weight. We have a cabin divider, aft one, with a privacy curtain that goes across. There's that little curtain that goes across there, as you can see. I think the curtain's hiding behind there. We have a forward cabin divider also between the cockpit. Above every seat, fresh air, reading light, and an oxygen port, air conditioning, factory air that comes out of those ducts, and hot air rises, so it comes out of these registers on the floor. The seats track, those 2 seats track, those little handles right there allow that seat to come forward and then recline. As I raise that arm, there's a little button hiding on the inside of the armrest. We need to clean them up slightly, but I've got an excellent detailing service here at Addison that can make those seats look extra nice. Take my word, been doing this a while, as I said. The Royal Light plastic around all your windows and so forth has been covered by leather. That plastic likes to crack. Sometimes we just cover it and it looks great. Again, that storage in the back there. Coat hangers. How do we load this airplane? First is fuel, always fuel. We have 206-gallon wet wing system and a 28-gallon nacelle tank that sits behind the left engine. 234. First fuel, then you load up the nose. This airplane flies nice with the nose heavy. Then we have 2 wing locker storage, 1 on each side. In reality, you sort of have 1, because I always call 1 my dirty wing locker, where I keep tools, rags, gloves, that sort of stuff, fuel drains. In a 400 series airplane, I make that the right side of the airplane because I don't go over there that often. I back my car up here to the left side, so my left wing locker is my clean wing locker. Keep certain things in there that aren't affected by non-pressurization and cold. The aft cabin, of course, is pressurized, so for my standard phrase of food, toys, games, you can have food, computers, especially cosmetics that you don't, nobody wants to get to the hotel and open the suitcase and there's shampoo on your dress, on your coat. Not happy, not good. Okay, so we've got 7 seats, we load fuel, then the nose, then the wing lockers, then the aft cabin, then people, a couple up front, depending on how many people you get. You're not going to overload the airplane. Obviously, pilot management is how much fuel you need to be legal, VFR or IFR reserve. Comfortable airplane, quiet. Just visualize coming home from grandma's on Sunday night like the Thanksgiving song Over the River. 5.0 cabin, you might be at 20,000. Families enjoying a 6,200-foot cabin, air conditioned, heated, no on ice. Quiet, quiet, comfortably talking. Spouse, work your boss, wife, adjustable seats. Here's how we do business, and again, I'm going to narrate the exterior, but I just can't do it today. The wind would just, you wouldn't hear anything but shh in my microphone, no matter which way I turn. I can't always put my back to the wind. So I'll narrate the still shots that were taken about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, about a week ago, 1 week ago in mid-March. Okay. So how do we do business? We may verbalize an offer, but then we'll then put it into, if it's going to be right, we'll put it into a form called the Jerry Temple Offer to Purchase form. It's not a final purchase agreement, and it says so. Gets us through the pre-buy. I present it to the owner. He and I discuss it. If it's accepted, you have 2 days, 48 hours. Time is of the essence. Repeat, time is of the essence to place a 5% deposit in escrow in Oklahoma City. With my escrow agent, no money is given to the seller or me. We then set up a pre-purchase event, which is a combination of a buyer's evaluation flight by skilled pilots, qualified pilots, and yourself, the buyer or your representative. There'll always be some squawks from the inspection. The airplane goes into a pre-buy at a qualified shop within legitimate, reasonable distance of the airplane's home base. I'm not a very good comedian, but we're not flying this airplane to Dallas, from Dallas to Seattle, Washington, or Bangor, Maine. No can do. We can bring them, if your mechanic's the greatest mechanic in the world, and I hope he is, we'll bring him here, treat him great, hotel, car, whatever, tools, supplies, an assistant to help for far less money than flying the airplane. Sorry, no can do. Airplane goes into inspection, of course there'll be squawks. It's not a new airplane, and I've sold new airplanes that had squawks on the acceptance flight or the acceptance inspection. We work it out. I'm pretty good at working out the issues from the flight and the inspection. Couldn't sell 25, 30 airplanes. Over 500 now, friends, twin Cessnas, since starting my little business in 93, 94. I think 94, I think. Anyhow, we work out the issues. We then close and fund. Ownership changes. That's an important few words. Ownership changes. We close and fund. Airplane's paid for. It's yours. No maintenance is done on the airplane until ownership changes. And that's the way you should want it. You want to be in command of the maintenance, not the seller fixing anything. The seller never fixes, repairs anything. He makes a price reduction concession. That's his means, his way of fixing things, and then you're in command. You're telling the shop exactly how you want things done because you're the boss, you're the owner. JTA can provide delivery support to help you get this airplane home, and insurance-approved instructors to give you a proper checkout. Been doing it a long time, as I've said a couple of times, so we've got this down pretty good. We know how to do it in order to produce a happy, pleased seller and a happy, pleased buyer. And I must have had a couple of pleased buyers, or I wouldn't have sold this airplane a couple of times, where each one of those buyers evolved into a seller. Okay, hopefully you've enjoyed this. I enjoyed doing them. Excuse my voice, got a little bit of an issue. He's happy, no complaints here. I haven't heard any whining or barking. If you have a family in these two aft-facing seats, put your toddlers. I'm going to move to that seat in a second and just talk a little bit more so you have a view, and I'll get a little bit of a close-up here. The wind's blowing so strong, so I don't want to take everything out of the cabin. There's a few items behind that seat that belong to the owner, but it's clean. Let me move back here now just a little bit. Show you a few things. There's a magazine rack here on the cabin divider. There's that curtain I was telling you about right there that tracks right across here, privacy curtain. There's a relief tube that pops out of that drawer, the urinal, male and female style urinal. It's a piss tube. Refreshment center with an overboard drain. You press that little silver button there and the ice goes out of Venturi into the icy water or the melted ice. 2 steps back here for your luggage and things, again, food, toys, games that we want to keep in the airplane. While we're loading the airplane, we track this seat number 5 way forward, almost to where my legs were at when I was sitting, and I'll turn around in just a second and show you that. And then after the luggage is on board, we can shove it back or move it forward so somebody's closer to the table. There's your refreshment center, storage. Now I'm turning around. You're going to see my camera bag. That's the seat I was in, friends. There's your cabin divider right there. That's where I was sitting. Camera lighting just caught up. Again, I've got the seat I'm in number now. There's my foot, number 5, and I would slide it forward after we've loaded baggage so I'm closer to this table. Play cards, work on a computer. Pilot 1, co-pilot 2, that was 3. That's where I sat. Number 4 is where my camera bag is. I'm in 5. Boss's spouse's seat, number 6. That's where I was saying we could add a flat screen for the forward-facing people. Some people take these cabin dividers out. It's your choice. Headliner looks in great shape. No cuts, tears, rips, distortions, sagging. Headrest adjusts up and down. Armrests go up and down. I'll show you that in just a second and open one of the tables. Let me do that now. And again, we have about 4 under-seat storage. I'm with you again. I accidentally turned the camera off when I was moving, so let me just kind of start up. If I repeat myself, sorry. There's your armrest on seat number 3 up. Pilot and co-pilot armrests also come out. There's your table opened up with a coffee cup holder. We've already got some electricity there. I didn't realize that. And of course, this table, all armrests are stowed for takeoff and landing. That's just common sense if we had to get out of here in a hurry. Okay, I think I'm done. I'm going to close everything up, get this airplane back in the hangar, and meet a customer today here at Addison Airport. It's supposed to be a nice day tomorrow, not too windy. Give me a call. Easy to get to Dallas. Major airports. Southwest serves Love Field, the old downtown airport, and of course DFW International, one of the biggest in the world. Come here from anywhere. We can talk about logs. We can talk about specs, twin Cessnas, this airplane, other airplanes. whatever you'd like, financing, insurance referrals. We do it all, training, delivery. Really enjoy this airplane. The people that bought it, the previous owner, besides the current owner, who's a businessman and a Gulfstream instructor, pilot here in Dallas. Good guy, successful business type. It's got the prettiest little Porsche you've ever seen, kind of a dark baby blue. I love it, red wheels. Anyhow, the family, the Parkers out in Arizona, great people. They were a delight to do business with. When I sold them the airplane, they hired a young pilot who went on to the airlines, and they decided they didn't need to have this airplane any longer. It's one of the best parts, but good people. Thank you. Look forward to working with you. We're outside now. I want to go over some of the exterior features of the 81-421C. Again, based at Addison Airport in North Dallas. Easy to get to Dallas from anywhere. Southwest Airlines goes in the left field, and all the other carriers into DFW International. Addison's about a 30-minute drive, 25-30 minutes from either airport. I live near here. So let's kind of look at some of the exterior features since we've done the cabin and the cockpit. Right off the bat, you see the wet wing system of the landing gears, the trailing link, big windshields, very, very pretty airplane, Hartzell 3-bladed propellers. Now we'll start zoning in on some of these other things. Again, you see all the boots, landing gear, props, engines, and we'll just take a closer look at some of the features. Aircraft is powered by the Continental GTSIO 520N as in November. It's 375 horsepower, horses muscle, and 1600 hour TBO. These are the Hartzell 3-bladed scimitar style propellers. Let's talk about the engine a little bit again. You no doubt have had comments about the geared engine. This wide cord, very wide cord, that's the width of the propellers. I have a small hand, but I can put my hand around the blade of 310s, 340s, 414. My hand goes flat up against the cord, the width. And again, this is a 90-inch disc. Most twin Cessnas are 76-inch. That doesn't sound like a big difference, but if you see them side by side, it's dramatic. So this is a wide cord, 90-inch disc. If we spun this at 2,500 RPM, it'd just be unacceptable, too loud. So the little gearing mechanism, the transmission that sits right between the engine and the propeller, slows the prop RPM to 1900, dramatically quiet, just really quiet. Passengers and crew really enjoy that. So we have a Hartzell 3-bladed heated propeller, 1600 hour, 375 horsepower Continental engine. You notice one little aftermarket product is the recognition light that's there in the cow. They have no speed restriction. Landing lights technically don't, but you'd have to extend them, and you don't want to extend them at a high speed. So if you're coming down at 180, 190 knots and you extend the landing lights, there's likelihood of breaking the gearing mechanism. Then they're stuck down. You can't get them up. You can't get them out. It's a very expensive fix. These recognition lights have no speed restriction, and we put the pulse SDC in addition, so you have an off switch, an on switch, and a switch that sequences, so it's left, right, left, right, left, right, and traffic can see you. You have an opportunity here to see some of the de-icing features, the pilot's heated windshield, again, heated propellers, fully booted, the full tail, vertical and horizontal, and the inboard and outboard boots. Great visibility for passengers and pilot and co-pilot, a right seat passenger. Here you see the excellent side window for the pilot and 5 windows on each side. Very open, non-claustrophobic. So if you have friends and clients and associates, customers that think this is a little puddle jumper airplane, as soon as they fly in this quiet big cabin, pull up their cars to the cabin door, load the airplane. No one cares what size toothpaste is in your purse or your briefcase. And there'll really be a long line of people wishing to fly with you in this airplane. Again, large Continental GTSIO 520N engine and 3-bladed Hartzell heated propeller. Here you also can see the trailing link landing gear, which commenced in 1980 on through 421 season up. Very beefy, soft taxing, soft touchdowns. It's a very nice feature of the 421C. In this image here, you can see where the strobe and position light are positioned on the outside of the wing. Notice again the great visibility for your passengers and your crew. Large vertical fin, horizontal stabilizer right behind the prop wash. And if you look closely, you'll notice that 50% of that vertical surface is the rudder, 50%, and then a large trim tab gives you excellent handling in crosswind landings and takeoffs and in turbulence. And of course, in the event of single engine emergency or practice, you've got excellent yaw control due to the large rudder. One of the features of the 421 is the wide stance gear. We'll probably have a shot here also from the front here. It's a wide stance gear. When you were learning to fly, you no doubt had short field takeoff, short field landings, but no one probably ever said the word narrow runway. Makes sense if the runway isn't very long, it's more than likely narrow. So let's create a worst case scenario. You have a short runway, it's a narrow runway, and we've got a wind coming from the right side of the airplane. So we got to know our power settings, have a nice steep and stabilized approach, head out of the cockpit. There's nothing to see. We want to be looking at the runway. We're not trying to grease it on. We're going to drop that wing, and as soon as that right main touches down, immediately get the left main down and aggressive braking. You'll feel it. Last thing we want to do is get off that narrow runway, hit a runway light, go into the gravel, mud, just get off, collapse the gear, ruin an airplane, engine, props. You know the drill. So that wide stance gear helps you with effective braking and, of course, just stability on the ground. Close-up of the beefy trailing link landing gear. It's a hydraulic system. Goes up and down real fast. Like with two engines, it goes up and down in 4 seconds. And even on single engine, it's like 7.5 seconds for extension, retraction. And then we have a blow-down bottle, a 2,000-pound nitrogen bottle in the nose that in the event the gear would not extend, that about a mile out on final, you blow it down. It's a one-shot thing. It's very effective. It blows the gear down in the lock position. Close-up of the heated propeller and the, again, recognition light. You'll notice that we have on each blade a boot, and there's an outer pad and an inner pad on each boot. So we got 3 outers and 3 inners. When we turn on the prop heat, and there's a little amp meter in front of the pilot to indicate that they're working, the 3 outers heat up for 30 seconds, then they start to cool, and simultaneously the 3 inners start to heat up. Now, engineers say something has to start someplace, something can't start no place. So in theory, it starts on the right propeller, the right side of the airplane, but at altitude going along, who would care? I don't care where it starts. So if I turn on my props, they're going to, let's just assume it works. It starts here on the right side, 3 outers, 30 seconds, 3 inners, 30 seconds. Then it goes to the other side of the airplane, back and forth, back and forth. Again, on the recognition lights, no speed restriction. You can put them out at any speed. And you'll notice these are the LED styles, so there's additional longevity of the light. Here you get a chance to see 2 or 3 things. Again, the heated pilot's windshield, the co-pilot's windshield. This is glass on the pilot side. The co-pilot side is plastic. Both are benefiting from the 35,000 BTU heater/defroster. You've heard me say /defroster because both sides benefit. The pilot side is actually heated. Again, you see the large side window, little storm window. Very hard to make out, but you're going to see something called the fuselage ice protection plate right above the gold stripe, and just a little bit to the right of the lock where you see the lock on that door, you'll see about a 10-inch wide plate. It's glued on and riveted on. It's called the fuselage ice protection plate. So if the propellers throw some ice, rather than dinging up the aluminum, it hits the plastic and bounces off. And in high icing areas every year or 2, that can be papered off and touched up. Good feature. Fuselage ice protection plates. Huge, huge nose baggage area. I think we've got a placard for 600 pounds. You'll usually bulk out before you weight out. There's 3 doors, 1 on the right side, 2 on the left side. Easy to load. Put a lot of stuff up in the nose. Golf clubs, long, anything that's long. And the airplane flies very nice with the nose heavy. You don't have an excessive pitch force going down on rotation. It's very light. Good airplane just flies very nice with the nose heavy. Easy to load. 3 doors. Here's another view of that. 1 door on the right side, 2 here on the left. Again, load up all your gear. Things that you don't mind being outside in the cold, non-pressurized environment. Of course, you also then have the wing lockers that we'll look at in a second. And then inside the cabin is the 5.0 PSI differential, heated cabin, of course. So food, toys, games, cosmetics, stuff that should not be kept in the cold, non-pressurized, will be in the cabin. Each side of the airplane, we have a wing locker area. It's placarded, I believe, for about 40 pounds. You, again, put soft luggage in here. In reality, you end up with one wing locker I kind of like to name on a 400 series airplane. The right side is my dirty wing locker. A kitty litter pan works perfect in there. You can lay oil bottles, tools, gas drains, all your dirty gear, smelly gear in the dirty wing locker. Again, the right side for me, and the left side I call my clean wing locker, where I back up my vehicle. And again, it's carpeted, very, very clean, and there wouldn't be any smells of fuel getting on coats or gifts or that type of stuff. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this video. We've looked at the cockpit, the cabin, and the exterior. The airplane's based at Addison Airport in North Dallas. Easy to come to see it, fly it, talk to me. Of course, here's how we do business. Give me a call. We can discuss price, features. We can verbalize an offer. I'll present it to the owner, and if it's accepted, we'll put it in a form called the Jerry Temple Offer to Purchase. It's not a final purchase agreement. It says so. Once it's signed, we have 2 days to place a 5% deposit in escrow. I stress 2 days for 5% deposit in escrow. No money's given to the seller or me. Your money's safe in escrow. Once we have the deposit, we work on the logistics for a pre-purchase inspection. Part 1 is the airplane's flown to altitude by qualified pilots and no systems, and everything is checked out, pressurization, engines, all the systems on the airplane, and landing, and it's followed by the pre-purchase examination at a qualified shop within legitimate, that's just my word, for reasonable distance from home base of Addison. Jokingly, we're not going to be flying this airplane to New York or California for a pre-buy. I don't care who's paying the gas. It's just not smart. I could fill up a yellow sheet with all the reasons not to do that. And should I be selling this airplane for you someday, we'll want to protect you, the seller, in the same way. My program from day one in '93 is designed to protect buyers and sellers, keep the playing field level, like an old-fashioned pinball machine. If you tilt, the system quits. So we don't want to have the situation where we tilt. There will always be squawks at a pre-buy, discrepancies. It's not a new airplane, and even new airplanes I've sold have discrepancies. It's my task to work those out. I'm pretty good at it, or we couldn't sell 25, 30 airplanes a year. We resolve the issues from the buyer's evaluation, flight, and inspection. Then we close, fund, and ownership changes. Repeat, we close, fund, ownership changes. No maintenance is performed on the airplane until ownership changes, and that's the way you want it. You want to be in command. You may have had a price reduction concession. That is the seller's means of addressing any maintenance issues, not fixing anything directly between the seller and the shop, but making a price concession reduction that you're satisfied with. Now you're the boss, and you direct the shop on your airplane what optional maintenance and needed maintenance you may perform. After the airplane is done, ready, JTA can support a delivery flight and insurance-approved training. Hope you've enjoyed this. I enjoy doing them. Look forward to working with you.